Today we're going to look at using Adobe Premiere and give a basic introduction as to how to use the tools that are available to you. When you're presented, or when you open Adobe Premiere, you'll be presented with a new project window. You'll need to enter in a name for your project. I'm just going to call it Premiere Project, and you'd also enter or check the location as to where your project is being stored. You can also adjust the scratch disk, which is telling the location of other files for your project. Once the new project begins, you'll be presented with 4 sections of your main window. This top right section will be where your previews appear. The top left will be where you will edit your effects. You can see there's tabs across the top. I prefer to leave it on Effect Controls. The bottom left is where you can get the media for your project, and the bottom right is your timeline. That will show all of your media arranged in the order it's going to be presented in your video. To begin, you'd go to the media browser and select whereabouts you have stored your video. So I'm going to browse to X Drive. We have some stored in our multimedia folder. And once you're in, you'll see the preview of the video clips. To select multiple clips, you can hold down Control to select multiple clips, and then simply drag and drop them onto the timeline, and that will arrange the videos that you've selected one after another on a video timeline. If you have music you'd like to add or sound effects you need to add, you can also browse and select those and drag and drop those onto the timeline as well. Once you've done that, you'll then be able to play your project, and you'll see in the preview up the top a preview of your video as it appears. You can also drag the yellow marker across the top here, and that will also gradually drag through your video and give you a preview of what's occurring. If you want to change the order of the videos, you can simply select them and move them along the timeline so that they change their order. You can also zoom in on a video by holding down Alt and then using the scroll bar on your mouse, and you can see that I'm increasing the amount of time at the moment. And if you drag and drop your videos together, you'll see how they then align. The same thing can be done with audio tracks if you've got multiple audio tracks. I prefer to zoom out so that I can see the end of my track, and I'm not going to need this much audio, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor to the end of that audio track and drag it all the way back so that it matches up the timing with my video tracks. You can also use these tools to manipulate your tracks. So if you want to split your video into smaller sections, if you want to remove a section from the middle of one of your videos, then what you can do is you can choose the Razor tool, and you can then use that on the video to divide it up into smaller sections. So I'm going to just find a section of the video that I'd like to cut, then I use my Razor tool, snip that section, find the end of the section I want to cut, snip that section. You'll see that my penguin video has been broken up into 3 separate videos. I can then choose my selection tool and delete the section of video I don't require. I can then move my videos so that they fit again. You'll notice that just then I overlapped a part of my video. If you do overlap your video, then one of the videos will be cut shorter. So you can increase the length of the video just by going to the end of the video and dragging out. So I'll position those back together again. Once you've got the video arranged in the order you would like it, you might also like to add some transitions between the different videos. So if I scroll back here to this point here and then press play, you'll see that from the line there's a direct cut over into the penguin as it plays that couple of seconds. So if I now go into my effects tab, you'll see that there's a series of preset video transitions. So I'm going to choose to add a dissolve between those two, so I just open up the dissolve folder, and then I can select the dissolve transition that I'd like, drag it and drop it onto my video track, and then once you've done that, you'll be able to see that the video is dissolving from one. It's got a crossfade running from one video into the other video. You can also add effects to individual video tracks. So you can see here I've got my owl. I'm pushing the FX button, and that's going to allow me to add a motion effect, changing the position, the scale, or the rotation for that video track. So let's move my preview up to that section. I go to the FX, and if I then go to, let's choose the rotation effect. When I then come up into my effects, you'll see that I can edit the rotation simply by dragging or by changing the number here under rotation. You can, if you like, add multiple keyframes at that point. So if I toggle the rotation on, I can add a keyframe at this point, and I can then add multiple keyframes by moving the cursor to the position I'd like to add the next keyframe and push that button to allow a keyframe. Once you've added the keyframe, you can then change the rotation at that point, and you'll see as I drag it back the other direction, and as I now pan my video across between those two keyframes, it moves from the first rotation setting into the second rotation setting. You can also change the position and the scale using the same sort of technique. Another feature of Adobe Premiere is that you can add titles to your video. If we go up to our title menu and choose New Title, you can then choose a style of title. I'm just going to go with a default still. You can see it comes up with an option for width and height for this, and you can also give each title a name. Once that's entered, it'll take you into the title editor, and I'm simply then going to choose the text type tool, click on the video or click on the frame, say that that's a line. You can position the text where you would like it. You can add effects to the text, so choose one of the default effects, and then once you've done that, you simply close, and if you go back to your project media, you'll see that the text has become available to you. You can drag that title onto your screen, and you'll see that when I'm over the top of that area, I've now got my title sitting on top of my line. You are able to edit the opacity, all of the effects of these tracks as well. So if I have a look at the track and then come up to my video effects, if I want to make that partially transparent, then I can simply drag the opacity percentage down, and you can see that my line text is becoming partially transparent. If you're also wanting to alter the position of your text, then you can position that across to the side, and your scale, you can make that smaller and position it at the top. And so then you've got your effect, or your line text moved. Once again, you can add keyframes so that that text could move around the screen at different locations at different times. Once you've finished your Premiere Pro project, you'll then need to render the video so that other people can view it. To do this, you select your project, and then you go to File, choose Export, and Export Media. This window will open, and it will show you your options. You can select a format. If you leave it as H.264, that's an acceptable format, and then choose a preset. Under the preset, you're choosing the device that you would like to view it on. Most of the time, if you're just wanting to view it on TV, you will scroll down to the section called PAL and choose PAL DV, and that will render it in a format that can be viewed on a television or burnt to a DVD. Once you've done that, you take note of the output name. You might like to change that to something more suitable. Choose to save it, and then press the export button. This will take a few minutes just to render the video, and once that's completed, you'll then be able to view the video using a normal video program.